New on AM Extra, the Gloria Barron Prize for Young Heroes is a national award that celebrates inspiring and spirited young people all across North America. The prize honors outstanding young leaders, ages 8 to 18, who've made a significant positive difference for people and the environment.
Winners get $10,000 to support their service work or their higher education. The 2023 recipients were recently announced. One of them is from right here in Portland. And joining us live this morning is Rishabh Jain, an undergraduate student at Harvard University. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on this. And tell us about your research. What are you doing?
Yeah, of course. So chemically producing drugs and pharmaceuticals can oftentimes be expensive, but I think one of the coolest innovations, in my opinion, on the intersection of biology and technology so far has been what's called recombinant technology. And so with this method, we can basically introduce synthetic DNA that we decide that we can customize into a simple organism like a cell like E. coli or yeast, in order to get it and manipulate it to start producing proteins that we want, that can make those drugs or even produce enzymes that could synthesize medicines at times much lower costs. And so these could be medicines from malaria vaccines to hepatitis vaccines to human insulin. And so what my research has been focused on is working on creating an artificial intelligence algorithm that I call iCore, which uses this technology, deep learning, to learn patterns from millions of DNA sequences in order to then optimize a synthetic DNA sequence that you can put inside of a cell like E. coli to get it to produce more protein when it's introduced into a cell. And so I published my findings in a peer-reviewed journal, and what we found is that my tool iCore can optimize synthetic DNA and ultimately produce up to 236% more protein for the same amount of time, cost, and input DNA. So it's really exciting.
Wow, that's very cool. And so it was this research that won you this $10,000 award to continue your work. How is this going to be potentially used with drug makers or with doctors and patients? What's the real-world application for this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is probably one of the reasons that the Gloria Barron Prize so generously chose me for one of their award winners, is that the technology that I've created, I've worked with a biotech company actually here locally in Boston, and made the technology open source. We've peer-reviewed, published it in an open source or open access journal, as well as all of the code is open source on GitHub. And so that allows researchers and drug makers to use this technology freely, with the ultimate goal of potentially reducing some and making this whole process more efficient. Ultimately, here in the US as well, we know that oftentimes life-saving drugs, things like human insulin, for example, can be quite expensive. And so if we can drive those costs down and potentially produce, as I mentioned earlier, like up to 236% more protein for the same amount of input resources, that could make a pretty huge difference.
You got a $10,000 award for the Gloria Barron Prize for Young Heroes. How are you going to use the money?
Yeah, so I'm considering two things. One is, of course, supporting my education. I have 4 years ahead of me here at Harvard, and I'm actually planning to go to medical school after that as well. So the $10,000 award is really amazing, and I was, extremely excited to know that I won it. And then, of course, also support any of my future research endeavors, things associated with publication or wet lab testing of these AI tools that I'm working on. So yeah, overall, I'm super thankful to the Gloria Barron organization for awarding me this prize.
Wow, so med school is on the horizon. I was going to ask what your plans were next. I have a feeling, Rishabh, you might already be on several med schools' radars. That's very cool. Congratulations again, and best of luck to you in all your future studies.
Yeah, thanks so much, and thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. That was Rishabh Jain, the Gloria Barron Prize for Young Heroes winner from Portland. If you want to learn more about some of his research and the award, you can check it out on coin.com.
Yeah.